Yo, so, uh, black man, IBMOR, big bro, I'm back with another video for that behind. Anyway, I want to talk about, uh, I want to talk about black men escaping, and give a special shout out to the IBMOR brother for us black men, you know, for the idea and the EBMs, or the EBM industrial complex, you know. Want to give a special shout out. But we seriously need to escape, black man. You know. Finally got a day off. It's time to make this video, man. But I've been thinking, man, we need to escape. We do need to escape this country, man. That's just a serious fact, man. There's nothing here for the black man. America is finished. The shit is finished. The shit is done. We already know that, man. If you don't know that, you know, it's time to get prepared, man. It's time to prepare yourself to get up out of here. As many black men as possible. I don't care about what means you got to go about it. You need to get up out of here, you know. But first, we got to talk about how to do that, you know. And passport is mandatory, man. Passport is mandatory. That's mandatory for every black man. That should be the first thing that should be the first thing every black man has in his art, in his thing. I mean, in his on his person at all times. I mean, you have your passport, your ID, your social security card, and your birth certificate. You should have all those things, all those four things. You know, but we got to get to that point though. But we could get there. You know, firstly, it starts with y'all gotta have a you gotta have a job, man. I don't know what black men are doing. I don't know what every black man is doing, but we all have to have a job. That's the first step. You know what I mean? I don't know what walk of life everyone comes from, but I'm assuming that you got some kind of job if you got internet access and you can listen to these videos, and I'm just assuming that you got you a job, whatever. But it's important to embrace the minimalist lifestyle, you know, the minimalist lifestyle while you're here in America. You know, that's the first thing. If you're gonna escape, you gotta embrace that minimalism. You gotta embrace that. You gotta give up, wanting to always be at the club, wanting to have the new Jordans, uh, you know, the wanting to keep up with the Joneses, have the flyest car, have the newest model car. You gotta give all that shit up, man. That's not for us, man. That's not our shit. You know what I mean? We gotta get that shit up. And y'all know that America is done, man. America is finished, man. We just, even white even the white boys are starting to wake up and see that this shit is finished. You know, this shit is like a this shit is like a fine ass woman with AIDS pussy. You know what I mean? Disease pussy. Fine as hell. You know what I mean? Fat ass. Big titties. Look like a supermodel. That bitch got disease pussy. You know? Black man, are you gonna get caught up behind some diseased pussy? You know, first thing is, like I said, you gotta have you a job, man. And if you don't know how to get a job, I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, a lot of black men give up before they even start. You know, they, they, they just throw in the towel before they even try. I might sound a little winded because I'm walking or whatever. Oh my goodness. I get everything I needed. Tell me I got everything I needed. Okay, yeah. Okay. Anyway, uh, like I stated, you know, it's easy to get a job, but y'all gotta be on mission, man. You gotta understand this is a mission you're under. Escaping this motherfucker is a mission. And I don't care if you a felon or whatever, and you can't get a passport. You gotta escape. You know, you're gonna have to do something. You got to work your way around this shit. But uh, this video is mainly gonna be about preparing yourselves to escape. You know, because I'm trying not to make it too long. I'm gonna try not to make it too long, but it's gonna be pretty long. But this is about preparing yourself so you can escape. First things first, you gotta have a job, man. You gotta have a job, and I don't want to hear nothing about no felony garbage. Okay, you're gonna have to get you a job. You know, I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna tell you how to do that. Regardless, you know, shouldn't be no way you can't get a job. But one thing you gotta avoid the pitfalls, which is the prison industrial complex. Thereby, you can't be out here doing dumb shit, smoking weed, drinking alcohol. You know what I mean? A lot of this stuff can get you caught up, messing with the wrong female. Definitely that. Messing with the wrong female. You know where that's gonna land you? In front of that judge, where he gonna strip you of your passport. Never tell a woman you got a passport, though. Never, ever. You know, I don't care if you love this chick. Never tell her you got a passport. But you know, if you want to get a job, you got to go out there. I suggest you go out there and get a bunch of applications, and take them all home, fill them all out, and then take them shits back the next day. You know, but when you go back in there, make sure that you dress presentable. You know what I mean? And when you drop off the application, ask to speak to the manager and ask them. I'm assuming this is every black man knows this, but I'm just saying this just in case, because some black men don't know. But you dress presentable. When you take the application back in, you ask to speak to the manager, and the manager's gonna say, And you ask the manager, if they're hiring, whatever, you know, and they might interview you on the spot. You know what I mean? All you gotta do is get through the interview. Most black men could talk their way into a job. Just keeping the job is a problem sometimes. But hold on. Um, if you got a felony or whatever, if you're one of these dudes who got a felony or criminal record, you can go down to the courthouse and ask to speak to a probation officer. You know, and what these probation officers have access to all kinds of jobs. They have access to all kinds of jobs. You might need to call up there first or whatever, but a lot of these probation officers keep huge lists of companies that hire people with felonies because the government gives these people a tax credit if they hire felons. And these probation officers keep a list of these companies. Now, if you go up there, you get the list, you know, you you start on that list. You get into one of these companies, man. There should be no reason why you can't get into one of these companies. They getting paid to hire you, you know. Anyway, so once you have the job, and you're working at it, you got to remember to live a minimalist lifestyle, meaning you don't waste money on nothing, man. Don't waste money. Don't try to kick it, man. You're trying to get out of here, man. You're not trying to you're not trying to become Americanized, man. It's easy to become Americanized, especially when you start making money. You're gonna want to go cop them new Jordans. You're gonna want to go out to kick it. You want to go on dates. I don't know what did y'all want, but some of you are gonna want to go on dates or whatever, whining and dining these chicks. You're just feeding the beast, man. Just feeding the insatiable appetite of the beast, unquenchable appetite. But that means, one thing I used to do, when I got paid weekly, I would make it a practice not to cash my checks until Wednesday. If I got paid on Friday, I would not cash my check to that Wednesday. So I'd have to get my first check, wait almost an entire week, and then cash my check. That way I got that Thursday, and then all I had to do was work that Thursday. Then that next Friday, I have a whole check coming in. So it's like I got two checks, you know. Then I do the same thing with the next check. Save that check until the following Wednesday, work that Thursday, and when I walk in the door on Friday, I got a check waiting for me. So that's a good thing. That's an easy way to stack up your money, as long as you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. It's hard for some brothers because I know they live paycheck to paycheck, but I mean, this is about escaping. That means sacrifice, man. You're gonna have to learn how to sacrifice. Hold on. I'm walking down the street, so Gotta make sure ain't nobody trying to peek. So, but as I stated, uh, you know, you're gonna want to live a minimalist lifestyle. You know, I mean, most black men are good at living minimalist lifestyle because we ain't even you. Because most black men are used to having shit anyway. So they are perfectly suited to being minimalist. Black man is cool. Most men, in fact, are cool just having their shit. Just having your crib. You have your apartment or your crib or whatever, your house. You have a car. You know what I mean? And you have your furniture or whatever, your TV, whatever. And then after that, you cool. You ain't really tripping. You ain't even trying to fucking constantly be upgrading and trying to keep up with the Joneses. That's where these women come in. They're gonna destroy your foundation, man. Women are destroying foundations all over the place because black men can't keep their money in their pockets. You know. Uh, Hope this video is getting recorded properly. But next thing you want to do is stack that bread up, man. Make sure that you take a portion of each check that you cash and you save that. I don't give a damn if it's it gotta be at least 150 a week. I mean, stack this shit up, man. I mean, you still gonna have most of your check anyway. Just don't be buying dumb shit. When you go to work, make sure that you go down to the grocery store, get whatever you need for your lunches. A lot of black men waste a lot of money buying lunches at work. You know what I mean? When they could just go down to the store, buy their little turkey and cheese or whatever they gonna buy. Don't buy that swine, but they buy the little turkey and cheese, their bread, buy them some chips, some fruits, whatever. You could take the works and make sure that you're making your food. I mean, making your lunch because, like I said, a lot of black men waste a lot of money on food. Buying lunches every day, going out to restaurants at lunchtime and all that. That money adds up, man. Gotta be more. Gotta think more practical. You know, go down to get you a Sam's Club card. I don't know if y'all know what Sam's Club is. It's a company owned by Walmart. Shut up. Company owned by Walmart. They buy everything in bulk. Everybody should know what Sam's Club is if you live in America. But get you to go in there and get your shit in bulk. Go and get you about 3 or 4 cases of water. Get you about 3 or 4 cases of drinks, Powerades, juices, whatever you drink. And you can buy other stuff in there in bulk. That you need, fruits or whatever, potatoes, buy all kinds of stuff in bulk, man. And then you can start making your meals in bulk. That way you won't be wasting a lot of money on food. And that's just temporary stuff. That's just temporary. That's just the basic stuff you could start doing, while you're stacking up this paper. And, next thing you want to do is, as you're stacking this paper, you want to go down to the auto auctions, man. make it a habit of going to the auto auctions, even if you're not buying a car. Make it a habit of just going there, just seeing how this thing works, seeing how the bidding process works. It don't cost that much to get in there. Some of them are free, but don't cost that much money. Just go in there, you see how the bidding process works, how you can start bidding on these cars towards escaping this mug, you know, escape plan, you know. Uh, Hold on. Like I stated, you're gonna go down to the auto auction. You're gonna get you're gonna get, you're gonna find out how the process works or whatever, how to start bidding on these cars. Another thing you could do is get on Craigslist every day. I mean, that's one thing you could be doing. Get on Craigslist every day, looking at cars for sale. You gotta be careful on Craigslist because there are some scammers on there. Make sure that you don't send nobody no money before you get the car, see the title, and all this type of stuff. Because there's a lot of good deals on cars. I mean, when you start moving in this direction anyway, it's going to start clicking for you. Your life is going to start coming together. Telling you're going to start seeing opportunities come out of nowhere because you're now on the right path. Once you get on the right path, like I said, opportunities will present themselves to you. You are going to run into all kinds of people who are caught up in the Americanist lifestyle. They're buying cars that they can't afford. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses. And then when they fall into one bad situation, they're going to need some money right quick. And that's where you step up to the plate. And you're ready to buy that car, for a cheap price because they need money. They desperate. Their rent is due, They was living beyond their means, and now they're paying the price for that. So now you're ready. You're there to step into that situation and come upon that deal. You know, there's plenty of people who try to upgrade. They upgrade to the next car. They buy a car, then they want to upgrade to a newer model, but they own the first car already, you know, and that car is basically sitting there waiting, for them to. That car is just sitting around, doing nothing, sitting in their lot. That's another opportunity for you to come up and get that car because you're living a minimalist lifestyle. So what you're going to do is buy that car and for a very low price and flip it. A lot of these people, they need money, The same things that black people are going through, white people are going through too. They live beyond their means. They try to keep up with the Joneses and they end up in one of them situations, They end up in one of them situations where they need money bad and desperately, you know, you know. So that's a few things that you can do. Gotta also remember a lot of people die off. Older people, they die off. A lot of older people are on Social Security. You know, they've accumulated a whole lot of assets in in their lifetime, and now they're retired. They're trying to live off their retirement. Social Security is not cutting it. It's not cutting it. Their bills are piling up. Interest rates are going up. Price of food going up. This is your perfect opportunity to take advantage of these situations if you know what you're doing, you know, because you're going to be living a minimalist lifestyle. You're not caught up in the Americanism, you know, and this is how you're going to come up and get the assets you need to escape. Finally, get up out of here, you know. Make sure that you got your passport. That's something that you got to have, man. That's like having a social security card or a birth certificate. You know, you're gonna need to get that at all costs. But once you have that, you might have to check with some of these other brothers as to the best countries to go to and live in. You're gonna have to check with some of these other brothers, get on their videos, and get on some of these websites, these forums, these blogs, whatever, and find out where brothers are going. Do not get caught up in this weak lifestyle up here. No, but you want to have your game plan set in action, man. But as I stated, if you go to an auto auction and you buy a car, you get a car for cheap. A lot of these people don't know who you are. Just make sure you're well dressed when you go in there. They don't know who you are. They don't know how much money you have. They might think you are some type of drug dealer. A lot of these dudes might not want to bid against you. They might think you got, you're going to outbid them, cost them money. So they might not be used to seeing you, black men. Take a couple dudes down there with you. Get together with some other brothers who are also minimalists. They don't even have to be minimalists. You just make sure that you are. They got a bunch of money. They see they see that you know how to make money. Then they see you know how to make money. Then they gonna want to go with you. They're gonna trust you. But you got to be on the moral code and the 5 steps, of course. No one's gonna trust you if you don't have a moral code. It's hard for black men to trust each other because they are not on the moral code. Like I stated, a black man should be able to put $200 or $1,000 or $20,000 or $100,000 in your hand and expect that you're going to take it where he asks you to take it, and it's going to get there. You could barely put $10 in a black man's hand. Black men are so weak-minded. A lot of black men are so weak-minded, and they can't be trusted. Stay away from these kinds of black men and keep them out of your business at all costs, because they are not on the moral code. Be careful who you deal with too. Know what I mean? But after you get your stuff together, you're gonna wanna when you got your business flowing a little bit, you're gonna wanna travel. You're gonna wanna take a week off, travel to some of these countries, man. Make sure you get you a tour guide or whatever, someone who's reputable. And y'all gotta do the thing, man. You got to do the thing. You got to decide. But we as black men have to come to a consensus about where we want to go, so we could somewhat be together. based on the moral code. The moral code is the foundation of a new community, the 5 steps. You know what I mean? Foundation of a new community, of brotherhood. You know, I stated that if black men were dropped off in the middle of nowhere, you know, what would they do? Would you guys be able to, would we be able to come to a consensus and build a community around those, a consensus of moral code, a some standards, you know? Or would it just be like niggerdom, you know, the niggerdom neighborhoods that you see? Black man, we have to, oh my goodness, we have to come to a consensus about what we are going to do, you know? Anyway, black man, I'm gonna probably continue this video on another video because it's getting long. On that note, I want to say peace. Get on the 5 steps. Adopt a moral code.